Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aspasia, and this is my YouTube channel, asparagusisreading, where I talk about books and sometimes other things. And today's video is going to be my November, December, end of 2022 TBR. The reason why I decided to combine the last 2 months of the year, just because I have a feeling that these TBRs are probably just going to blur together. A lot of things that I want to do is kind of overlapping between November and December, just because the main culprit, the semester is going to end. It's going to be a very busy month as I'm finishing all my assignments, studying, prepping for the semester, and then holidays, seeing family, all that stuff going on. And so a lot of the books that I want to read from November are carrying over from October, which I feel like is just going to carry on into December anyway, so why not just put them all together? So, long story short, like I said, some of these books are carrying over from previous months, but my main goal is to read a lot of my NetGalley books. I did make that my main goal of 2022 is to read more of my arcs. Even though I did make progress, I don't think I did as well as I wanted to. And so I feel like right now, reading my arcs is probably the most important, just because many of those are part of deals, part of things I'm supposed to be doing. You know, they give you the book or they pay you to review it, and if you don't read and review, it's kind of like, well, what was the purpose of working with you? So we need to do that. So let's keep this intro short and let's get right into it. It will probably be long just because I am combining the 2-month TBRs. Let's start with what I'm currently reading. So one of the books that I'm currently reading is Teach Me by Olivia Dade. This is me on my journey of going through Olivia Dade's backlist. I do believe this is one of her shorter books, and it is in her There's Something About Marysburg series. This follows 2 teachers, one who's like a veteran teacher of the school, as in she's been there at the school for a couple years, and one who's a newer teacher who has just recently been hired. And so from my understanding, the newer teacher has recently been hired because of how well his resume, his repertoire, his reputation sounds to someone higher up who recently hired him, and they have decided to take away some of Rose's classes and give it to him to teach because they didn't want to scare him off and they wanted to give him a challenge, which in a way makes sense, but also just feels kind of stupid because like this could have been discussed with everyone. I feel like, okay, what classes are we going to work in? We're adding a new person to your department. Let's figure out the scheduling, what classes everyone wants to teach, not just yank them and then force them to do an entirely new lesson plan, everything just a couple weeks, months before the semester starts. Okay, actually, you know what? I'm not really sure if the school year has started yet, but it sounded like it has. And I'm kind of just like, how inconvenient and how rude. I don't know. So far, I'm enjoying it. I'm only like that much through. Like I said, I've been reading pretty slow because school is taking over my life. Anyways, this is what I'm currently reading. This is what I'm hoping to finish first, just so I can get this out of the way and then move on to something else. The next 2 things I'm currently reading are part of NetGalley arcs. One of them is already published, as well as a couple other ones on this list, and some of them are coming out soon. So I will try to specify if I know their publication dates. The other one that I'm currently reading that I've been reading for about a year now is Gilded by Marissa Meyer. I've already talked about this in like every single video, every single post that I've made. I am making progress. I restarted, stopped because, you know, school, reading this, and then also I've been picking up other things. I'm on chapter 7. I'm enjoying it. I wish the pace was a little bit faster because I think that's what's killing me right now. I've been reading a lot of slow-paced books recently, and I'm just like, look, I'm gonna need y'all to get into the killing. I'm gonna need y'all to get to the making out, something, because y'all going a little too slow for me. I'm bored. But this is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling that is following Serelda, who is known for telling all these outlandish fairy tales. And one day her fairy tales catch up to her when the Earl King and his like servants, his knights, whoever they are called, catch up to her. And they are not really happy. The Earl King demands that she starts to spin straw into gold or be killed for telling false tales, because some of the tales she has told has been about him and he does not like it. I don't know if there is truth to the tales that she says about him. Again, haven't gotten that far. But she's now stuck in a pickle, and as of right now, I think the best way for her to get out of that is to make a deal with the mysterious boy, which I think is going to be our Rumpelstiltskin character. But obviously making deals with this mysterious boy does not go very well because it's a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. As you all know, Rumpel is a little greedy and tends to trick people. The book 2 of this comes out within the next couple of weeks. Hopefully I can read it and we're not repeating this process next year, because if this happens again, I'm gonna be embarrassed to call myself a Marissa Meyer fan. The next books that I have here are not NetGalley. I'm gonna do all the NetGalley ones last because I have like a long list of them. These are all physical books that I own that I want to read for various reasons. The first one is Six of Crows. I want to reread this because Brittany in Books is doing a book club buddy read for her book club. Cannot remember the title. I'll put it on the screen and I'll link it down below. But she's doing a buddy read, and I was like, yes, ma'am. I really enjoyed this when I read it last year, 2 years ago. Been meaning to reread it, haven't done it yet, so I thought this would be her opportunity to do so. This follows Kaz Brecker, who is a well-known criminal prodigy, and he has just been given this chance of a lifetime to do a deadly heist that will make him richer beyond his dreams, beyond anything anyone can imagine. But the only way to do that, he's going to need some help. And he forms a crew of some of the most unlikely pairs. Some of them don't even like each other. There is a thief, a runaway, a sharpshooter, a heart trender, a spy, and a convict. Hot mess, hot mess. And the only way for them to do this is to work together despite the differences. And they are also likely the only thing standing between the safety of the world and the world's complete destruction. So if they don't kill each other, they need to save the world. They got a lot of weight on their shoulders. It was a very interesting book. This is one of those things where I was like, everyone likes this book, I'm gonna read it. And it was not what I expected, but it was better. The next book that is carrying over from previous months is I'm Glad My Mom Died. This is her debut novel and her memoir of her life as a childhood actress and how she has dealt with being on screen, being in a toxic environment, living with her mother, who is very toxic, detailing her trauma and her eating disorder and her depression, and how she felt before, during, after being on the show Sam and Cat and iCarly, and how she has triumphed over everything and the strength that she has and everything. This book, I remember hearing about this like a year ago, maybe the beginning of 2022. Forgot about it. Next thing I know, this book is blowing up. It's everywhere, completely sold out all over the world, according to articles. 5 stars, bestseller. Everyone and their mama wants it. My library has like a 600 people wait list. This book, she put all her soul, her blood, sweat, and tears in this. She put some gold in here. I guess she has the magic touch, something, because people are eating this up, and every single person I've seen read this has given it 5 stars. I think the only time there's been a lower than 5 stars is because someone didn't like how graphic descriptions are, but I'm like, did you not read the description? Did you not read the reviews? Anyways, so I want to read this because I've been really into memoirs recently, and I'm very interested in the subject of the treatment of child stars and the way that media tends to ignore the subject until years later when it's, in my perspective, too late for the particular person, and how now in our culture we are more open about these things and more discussing these things and considering these things and canceling these people and creating a more healthy environment for these actors of media that we constantly consume. Another one that I want to read, or 5, 6, is the Percy Jackson Olympians Incomplete series. I just bought this on Amazon for like $14. I think that's a steal. 14 for 5 books. Steal. The main reason I'm doing this is because the show is coming out soon. I don't know the exact date. It's coming out soon. I've always intended, even from middle school, I always intended to read the entirety of these. Never did. I think I've read one, never came back to it. That's my fault. I don't know anything about this. I think it's about a boy named Percy Jackson who finds out he is half human, half god, half demigod, and goes on these many quests and adventures to save the world, I guess. People love this. This is like, you know how like as a cartoon, Avatar Last Airbender is like 5 stars, almost every single person loves it. I feel like this is the equivalent, but in book form. Like, everyone loves this. Like, you can't go wrong reading this, and you can't go wrong watching Avatar. You know what I mean? So, I want to read this. The end of the semester is coming up. I have a week off of classes, plus the weekend. And then I have Thanksgiving break, so that's another break. And then we have Christmas break when the semester ends, so hopefully I can read all of these by the end of the year. Finally be somewhat caught up on the fandom. I know there's like 20 more books, plus Rick Riordan has recently announced there's going to be a book 6. But at least I'm making some kind of progress, okay? Okay, so now we're going to go into my neck alley. I kind of organized this a certain way, and then I've already ruined that organization because I talked about all of these, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. So the first one we're talking about is A Face for Picasso by Ariel Hindley, which is a memoir about Ariel and her twin sister. I believe her name is Zan, who were born with a rare condition called Cruzon syndrome, which is basically a syndrome where the bones in your face and your head area fuse together prematurely. And so as you can imagine, that is probably a very difficult condition to live with. And as far as I'm aware of, Ariel and her twin are the first known twins to survive it. I'm sure there might be more since then, but I don't know. Throughout their life, Ariel and her twin sister have gone through both intense, extensive, both physical and emotional pain. And so this story, written by Ariel, I'm assuming you might have some thoughts and opinions from her sister, but mainly by Ariel, explores beauty identity as well as the resilience and the strength and sisterhood that it takes to go through life and to kind of put your life and yourself back together time and time again. Sounds very emotional. Clearly I want emotion because we got this in here, and then I got this, plus more memoirs and like 6 books dealing with death, and then some romance. It sounds really good. I'm really interested to read about it. I've never heard about Cruzon syndrome until this book, and I've been trying to learn more about different disabilities and illnesses. I think this will be a great introduction to it, but also just about, well, just like a reminder of be mindful of the life that you live and what you say and do to others, because it can affect other people, and also understanding that everyone else has different things going on in their life, different pains and things like that. The next book, which is also a memoir, is Don't Look Back by Ashut Dang. So this is a memoir that is going to be detailing Ashut's life from, I believe, from when she was 6 years old to about now. When she was 6, there was a very deadly attack on South Sudan that left her without a family and without a home, and she ended up living in camps for many, many years. And then one day she finally got the chance through this program to take the opportunity to leave the camp and go live in the United States with like a substitute family, kind of like adopted family, like a host family. And when she is asked, why did you take that chance? Her answer is because she wanted to live. She wanted to have her life. And so I do believe this story discusses that life as she's in America and there's challenges and struggles she has to deal with while she's there, because even though she did escape Sudan and that war there, she still has challenges and things that she has to go through in the United States, such as culture shock, learning a new language, different weather, social aspects, things like that, which again, I think this is going to be very emotional. So very emotional, impactful memoirs going on here. I think it's going to be a very great month. I honestly highly anticipate the 3 of those memoirs being 5 stars. The next book, next set of books I think is going to kind of follow Don't Look Back, and that's just going to be following Black stories. I guess they're kind of in the same boat. 3 books are going to be about the senseless killing of Black lives and the impact that it has, and also the way the system can take advantage of people of color and how it can be set up for failure before success, and how, you know, the complex, frustrating, tangled things that happens with that. So the first one is Promise Boys by Nick Brooks. I am currently reading this. This is following 3 teen boys who are forced to investigate their principal's murder to clear their names. So basically what happened is their principal is found dead in his office, and just going through the lengths of the investigation, 3 teen boys are the most likely, most obvious suspects. And no matter how hard and what they do to maintain their innocence and to explain that it really was not them, people really do not believe them. And so they're forced to investigate this murder, try to clear their names, and figure out who, what, why would set them up this way, and why it seems to be such a biased and frustrating system that just seems to be silencing their voice. I'm pretty sure I'm probably gonna cry at this book, or just be really just frustrated because I am a Black person and I'm also Latina, and this has both Black and Latina characters that are going through this thing, and I just feel like I'm just gonna be like all the emotions. But I also think it's a very important story to be told. And I don't know, I'm excited to read it. I've already started reading it, and so far I am really enjoying what I read. The next book that has to do with the lives of Black people and the senseless killing that happens with that often is Lighted Up by Kikala Magoon. This is a NetGalley arc that I've had for a while. I believe the book has already been published, might even have more books. Maybe not in the series, but by the author herself. One day a girl is walking home from school, you know, usual thing, just going home from school, listening to music, crossing the road, and she doesn't come home. So, you know, that obviously caused a lot of panic within the family, the community, and her friends. And then it is revealed that she has been shot and killed by an off-duty police officer. So the whole community is now in an uproar and anger and frustration, trying to understand why this officer felt the urge, the need to kill this girl, what exactly took place. The police are really just trying to justify their actions and make it make sense and try to be like, oh, this was for a reason. And so there is this book, I think, is going to be following, I'm not sure if it's going to be following a specific person, maybe multiple people, but it's going to be describing this really loud, growing, strong, other words you want to put in here, movement that is protesting the senseless killings of Black lives, but also protesting the arrival of white supremacists and how they're always common denominators with them and the killing of Black people, and also the role that the police have when Black people die or are murdered, whether it's the cop that was the murderer or someone else being the murderer. Again, very impactful read that I think is going to be necessary, something that I think could bring up a important discussion, and it is very, I don't know what the word is, but like it's something that I think would still be necessary to be read 5 to 10 years from now, just because it's something that seems to be ongoing, very relevant to current times, despite this book being published, I don't know, a year, maybe 2 years ago now. And the next book that is following these themes is going to be The Black Girls Left Standing by Juliana Goodman. So this one is going to be following Beau, who has these dreams to leave town, live life, go to college, go to art school. But she has to put her dreams aside when her sister is murdered by the hands of a cop. And she wants to investigate the murder and find out why her sister was murdered. What did her sister and the cop have to do with each other? What was the relationship there? Where did her sister's boyfriend go? And why he just straight up dip and disappear? Where were you? Also, she thinks she's trying to clear someone's name in the process. I don't remember who exactly. But she's really hoping to find this boyfriend and get answers so she can tell the truth, so that no more Black girls, Black boys are being killed by the hands of cops or just white men in general. But also so that when they are killed, people know that they're not going to go ignored, they're not going to get forgotten about. There's people out here listening, people out here paying attention, and people out here fighting. That is another one that I'm going to be reading. Lots of Black stories. Now, so we're going to try to continue the theme here. I don't think I have any more Black stories after that, but I do have more murder and death stories and investigation type stories. The first one being After Love by Tanya Byrne, which is going to follow 2 teen girls, Poppy and Ashana, who met on a school field trip, and after that they just clicked. They had this really whirlwind, passionate, loving relationship to the point where they felt like they were going to have a really long future together. But that future is taken away from them when Ashana is killed in a hit and run, I think on New Year's Eve. And because she was the last one to be killed during that year, she's now the next Reaper for the next year, or however many years. And, you know, now she's reaping souls and talking to the dead and looking at who's coming next. And the only people that can really talk to her are the people who are going to die soon. And unfortunately, one day she sees Poppy and Poppy sees her. At first they're excited because they're having a second chance. They could see each other again. But the reality of setting in is that, is it really a second chance, or is Poppy also about to die? Sounds very interesting. I've seen a lot of good reviews and 5 stars for it. I have the audiobook and the ebook, so I might kind of flip back and forth. So that is also a 5-star anticipated read, so I'm really hoping that it is 5 stars. Another one with death and investigation is Cold by Mariko Tamaki. This is following Todd, who is now dead. He is a ghost who was a little confused about what happened. He's trying to figure out what exactly happened that caused his death, what choice that he made that led up to his point. And so while this investigation is happening, he's also doing his own little investigation to find out why he died and how he died. But we're also following Georgia, who is hearing about this death, and she's like, I think I know Todd. At least I've seen him or heard of him somewhere. She had a really strong inkling that somewhere, somehow, she knew Todd, or maybe she's seen him or heard of him before. And she just knows that, like, for some reason, just deep down in her heart, she just knows that these things that's being told about Todd is not the complete truth. So I do believe she starts her own little investigation to kind of figure out why she feels so strongly about Todd and what's going on. So I'm very curious to see how Todd and Georgia end up coming together in that book. Another murder investigation, and that is Nothing More to Tell by Karen McManus. I do believe this is her newest book release for the year, and this is following Bryn, who is moving back to her town about 4 to 5 years after one of her favorite teachers was murdered. I do believe that he was found dead behind the school by 3 students. Now that Bryn is back, she is taking this opportunity of her true crime internship to investigate the murder and find out what happened. And the only way that she knows she can get into the investigation is by interviewing the 3 people that found the teacher. And the thing about that is, if it wasn't for Tripp, who told all the information, or at least most of the information about the investigation, they'd probably all be in jail. Right? But because of what he said, the 3 of them that found the teacher are now like popular, famous, like top dogs of the whole thing. Bryn is, I think, going to question him and figure out what exactly he said, whether it was all true or not, whether he was actually there or not, what everyone's roles were in that murder or where they were that night, and kind of find out the truth of what really happened and why the 3 of them chose this path after their teacher was found dead. Alright, so another one that I have is romance. I decided to give myself a couple softer books to give myself a break from the deep, dark, emotional books in here. Other than Teach Me, I do have 3 more on here, but I also have many more on my shelf and many more on NetGalley that is not going to be mentioned. So the first one is The Unbalanced Equation by H.L. McFarlane, which is following Elizabeth after many years of the scrutiny and frustration that she's felt towards her PhD professor. She's finally free because she could do her postdoc. She can go to a different lab, different school, live her life, be away from that awful person. But then a fire burns through Dr. Thomas Henderson's lab, and the 2 of them are forced to work together in the same lab, on the same bench, for about 3 months straight. And they don't like each other at all. Another besties. So exciting. But next thing you know, things just seem to be tumbling, crashing and burning in Elizabeth's life. Not only is she working together with him, she's now being kicked out of her house by her landlord, so she's has nowhere to stay. And I believe her dad is engaged to the evil PhD assessor, Dr. Thomason's mom. So now they're possibly going to be siblings. So everything just seems to be going wrong for her. She has nowhere to go, nothing to do, doesn't really know what to do. And the only place she can get this stability is by going to Dr. Thomas Henderson and potentially living with him. So they're forced to not only live together, work together, but to plan a wedding together. And so obviously this close proximity is going to force them to work on their complex, strained relationship. I'm really hoping this is not romance. I'm really hoping this is not romance. I don't know, I just feel like this would be fine if she was single at the end. So like if it is romance, I don't know if I'll be very excited. Especially knowing that the parents are together, because that's gonna be gross. Knowing that these 2 are making out while their parents are engaged. The next one is Someone to Kiss by Jamie Anderson. This has a New Year's Eve thing again. I think, believe 2 other books previously also had New Year's theme. Katie is just having a rough time. Rough end of the season, rough end of the year. Now she's seeing all these happy couples have their moment and share this kiss. And so she makes this vow to herself that by this time next year, she'll finally find someone of her own to kiss. But over time, she starts to realize that being a 40-year-old cat mom that prefers to stay in and enjoy her own time instead of going out and braving the dating scene, dating is a little hard. And so she is kind of struggling to continue up with this promise and do this thing for herself before the new year is coming up. Sounds like a very cute premise. Very interested to see what happens. Again, I feel like this one could do very well if she ends up single by the end and just realizing that she's okay on her own and doesn't need to do all of this to please anyone else or I feel like she could be okay if she's on New Year's and she was like, I'm good, I'm comfortable, I'm happy. But we'll see how that goes. And the last book is Long Story Short by Sabrina Kaler, which is going to be following Beatrice, who has always wanted to attend Oxford University and try to discover new mathematical challenges while she's there. Despite being incredibly exceptional at math and many other STEM-related things, she really struggles with her social aspect of her life. She doesn't really do well with friendships. So instead of doing many social things you'd expect someone of her age to do, she's often reading a book or at the library or playing games, which honestly, girl, same. Before she's sent across the world, Beatrice and her parents make a deal. If she can survive about 6 weeks at a summer school, being social and being involved with other people, then they will send her to Oxford. This sounds very interesting. I'm a little confused on how being forced to go to 6 weeks of an academy is going to help her be at Oxford. I feel like she could have been pushed to do more social things sooner instead of literally 6 weeks before she has to leave. I don't know. It feels a little weird to me that she's doing this now and not like 6 months ago. But it does sound really cute, interesting. I'm very interested to see like how her bookish life is portrayed throughout the story. But yeah. I believe that is all of the books that I have here today. That is a long list, and we have been here for a hot minute. So with that being said, that is all we have for you today. Drop a book stack emoji down below because honestly that's what I'm gonna be reading, a nice thick long stack of books. Let me know what you plan to read for the end of the year anytime, or what you plan to read for next year if you don't have any plans for the rest of this year. Thank you for watching. Have a good day, good night, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is where you are, and I'll see you in the next one.